My boss once told me, not everyone is cut out for this level of responsibility. 5 years later, I read those exact words back to her. Only this time, they were inside a sympathy card sent to her after her DUI arrest. If you've ever worked under someone who treated power like a weapon, who made you question your own sanity just to protect their ego, then you're going to feel this one. So hit subscribe, like the video, and let me know in the comments if you've ever had a boss who thought they were untouchable. Because this story, it's about responsibility and karma. I worked with young children with disabilities. Real kids, real families, the kind of job that doesn't end when you clock out because you carry their faces home with you. And for 5 years, I worked under a woman we'll call Jay. At first, the problem seemed small, annoying, but manageable. Emails that went unanswered for weeks, budget requests ignored, supplies we were legally and ethically required to provide mysteriously backordered forever. You'd send 3 follow-ups, nothing. You'd knock on her office door. She'd glance up from her computer like you were interrupting something sacred. Be your own problem solver. That was her favorite line. It sounded empowering on paper. In reality, it meant figure it out yourself and don't bother me. But it didn't stop there. Over time, the cracks became canyons. She accused me of breaking student iPads, not privately, not professionally, in meetings, in front of colleagues, in front of staff. I can still feel the heat that crawled up my neck when she said it, the way the room went quiet, the way everyone suddenly found something very interesting on the table to stare at. "You pay me," she said once, leaning back in her chair. "You do what I want." There it was, not leadership, ownership, like we were property. She repeatedly asked me to do things that were flat out illegal, cut corners in documentation, misrepresent service hours, adjust reports to make our numbers look better. When I hesitated, when I said we couldn't do that, she'd smile, that tight, condescending smile. "That's why you're not the boss." It wasn't just about ego, it was about control. And the worst part? The children. There were times I brought concerns about potential child abuse to her, real concerns, bruises that didn't make sense, behavior shifts that set off alarms in my gut. She laughed, actually laughed. "You're overreacting." I remember sitting in my car after that meeting, hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. My chest felt tight, like someone had cinched a belt around my ribs. I wasn't angry. I was terrified, because if leadership doesn't care, who protects the kids? Meanwhile, my staff cried weekly. I'd find them in supply closets wiping mascara off their cheeks. I'd hear trembling voices in the hallway after being dressed down for something trivial. And Jay would shrug. "If you don't like it, go work at Walmart." 5 years. 5 years of swallowing words, of documenting everything quietly, of trying to shield my team and my students from the emotional shrapnel that came from her office. I told myself it was about the kids, that staying meant stability for them. But at some point, staying became complicity in my own erosion. The day I decided to leave wasn't dramatic. No screaming, no slamming doors, just exhaustion. The kind that settles into your bones and whispers, "You can't keep doing this." On my last day, my colleagues threw me a small party, balloons, cupcakes, a card passed around the room, filled with handwritten notes. "You made this place bearable. Thank you for always standing up for us. We're going to miss you." I stood there, holding that card, blinking back tears, feeling something I hadn't felt in years at work. Seen. And then I opened it to the last message. Jay's handwriting. Sharp, angular, unmistakable. "Not everyone is cut out for this level of responsibility. Good luck, Jay." It was almost impressive. Even on my way out, she couldn't resist one last jab. My stomach dropped. It wasn't just an insult. It was a narrative, her narrative, that I wasn't strong enough, that I couldn't handle the pressure, that I failed. I left quietly, no dramatic exit speech, but in my head I made a promise, I would never let someone like that define my worth again. A few years passed. I moved on, found a healthier workplace, one where emails were answered, where concerns were taken seriously, where leadership didn't confuse fear with respect. And slowly, Jay became a story I told at dinner parties, a cautionary tale, a punchline. Until last week, I was scrolling through social media when her face stopped me cold. Mugshot lighting is unforgiving, the harsh flash, the blank cinder block background, but it was unmistakably her, arrested for DUI, driving while intoxicated. There it was, public record, shared in a local news post, comments already piling up. My heart didn't race, it didn't pound, it just settled. Because the woman who preached responsibility like a weapon had been caught endangering lives. The irony was almost poetic. I clicked the article, details, time, location, charges pending, and I remembered her voice. Not everyone is cut out for this level of responsibility. For 5 years, she used that phrase to diminish people, to shrink them, to justify cruelty. And now it applied to her. I didn't feel rage, I didn't feel glee. I felt balance, the scales finally tipping. I sat at my kitchen table for a long time staring at her mugshot, thinking about my staff, about the tears, about the kids whose concerns were brushed aside, about that card. And then I stood up, grabbed my keys, and drove to the store. The greeting card aisle is surprisingly overwhelming when you're shopping for poetic justice. I bypassed the birthday cards, the congratulations, the sympathy cards for loss. And then I found it. A simple thinking of you card. Soft pastel colors, elegant font, almost tender. I bought it, drove home, sat down with a pen. For a moment I hesitated, not because I doubted the decision, but because I wanted it to be precise. No rant, no paragraph, just a mirror. Inside, I wrote, "So sorry to hear about your arrest. Not everyone is cut out for this level of responsibility. Good luck." No signature beyond my name. I sealed it, stamped it, dropped it in the mailbox, and as it slipped from my fingers, I felt something I hadn't felt in years connected to her. Light. Not vindictive, not cruel. Light. Because revenge doesn't always have to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes it's just about returning someone's own words, polished and intact, and letting them sit with the echo. I don't know her reaction. Maybe she ripped it up immediately. Maybe she laughed it off. Or maybe, just maybe, when she read that sentence, she felt a flicker of recognition, a moment where the power dynamic flipped. Because this time, she wasn't behind a desk, she wasn't protected by a title. She was just a name under a mugshot, accountable. And the truth is, my revenge didn't ruin her life. The DUI did that. Her choices did that. All I did was hold up a mirror. Here's what I've learned. Some people use responsibility as a mask for control. They preach it downward, never upward. They weaponize authority, but crumble under accountability. And sometimes, justice isn't dramatic. It's subtle. It's poetic. It's a single sentence sent at exactly the right time. For 5 years, she made people feel small. For a brief moment, she had to sit with her own words, and that was enough. If you've ever had a boss who thought they were untouchable, drop a comment below. What's the most satisfying karma you've ever witnessed? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs a reminder that power doesn't equal immunity. Because in the end, not everyone is cut out for that level of responsibility.